Good morning, Third Academy community. I am Katinka, the head of network and partnerships. For those of you that don't know Third Academy, we are a Web3 education collective that helps professionals get into and grow their careers in Web3. Our flagship marketing cohort is now on its third delivery, and we will very soon be launching our second course called Metaverse Foundations for creators of brands that are looking to build metaverse experiences. So in the lead up to that course, we are interviewing professionals that we really admire in the metaverse space. And in that context, I am super excited to introduce today's guest, Genya Smagin. Genya focuses on metaverse.
Yeah, hello, Katinka. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for an opportunity to share my story in the industry.
Thank you so much, Genya. So I'll briefly introduce you, and then I'd love to actually have you introduce yourself to the audience. So Genya focuses on metaverse investments and partnerships at SK Telecom, which I think is the largest telco in Korea, but has a very diversified tech portfolio, including very significant investments in the metaverse. For example, the popular IFLAN metaverse. Genya has been in this space since 2018, and he's built his expertise in XR, play-to-earn gaming, and digital assets. And Genya also sits on the SK Telecom advisory board, where he advises early stage startups. And so that's why he is absolutely perfect to talk to our topic today, which is the investment landscape in the metaverse. But before we dig into that, actually, Genya, maybe you could also give a little bit of your background and how you got started in Web3 in the metaverse space.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and my pleasure again to talk to you. Just maybe a couple of words about SK Telecom. SK Telecom is a part of SK Group, the second largest conglomerate in South Korea after Samsung Group. SK Group consists of 100 subsidiaries, and one of them is SK Telecom. SK Telecom itself consists of more than a dozen of other subsidiaries, ranging from OTT service, music streaming service, IFLAN, our metaverse service, shopping website, e-commerce, and some others. So SK Telecom is very well positioned to kick off the metaverse service, which we did last year. And as you just introduced me, I'm working on the strategy and corporate development side in investment. I particularly concentrate on finding deals in game and metaverse fields. I also do partnerships for our IFLAN metaverse service. Speaking briefly about that, my life in Korea started in 2014. Then I came here as an exchange student. It was pretty much love from the first sight. I loved food, I loved people, I loved natural landscape, and relatively quickly started to pick up the language, because Korea is not an English-speaking country, and speaking Korean language is very important if you want to get into business environments as well. That time I had to go back to Russia. Yeah, I should mention that I'm from Moscow originally. Back that time I studied in Moscow National University, and after completing my degree, I moved completely to Korea to study my master's degree, and after master's degree I got a job in SK Telecom. And Korea is a very intense place, I would say. I think Korea is a perfect place for people with intense character. It's changing very fast. There are always new things to learn. The adoption speed is incredibly fast. So I thought that's a very suitable place to start for young, energetic person like me. And SK Telecom is, as I said, very well positioned into all this digital Web3 service environment. So I'm pretty happy that I ended up in this place, in this job.
Amazing. And before we dive into the questions, could you tell me a little bit more about SK Telecom's involvement in the metaverse?
We started our service IFLAN last year, and IFLAN is a service that provides a virtual room socializing opportunity for people So what you do is you download the ETHLend application from Google Store or App Store, and then you make your avatar from the facial and clothing items which are available on the platform. Afterwards, you are able to join any public rooms which other people are hosting. So you can create a sort of virtual space in the platform with some specific interior which are available. So you pick the interior, you pick the topic of the room, and then this room is getting opened, and strangers can get into the room and socialize with other people. Chatting is available, voice chat is available. You can use on-screen joystick to move your avatar and like sit, play inside the room. There are some mini games as well, and you also can do private rooms. So what's private room? You make a private room that's only available for the people who get the link which you sent to. And you have a password for this room. So it works exactly in the way Zoom works. And in this sense, this is perfectly suitable for companies that want to have a business meeting in Metaverse. You also launch a lot of B2B events for companies in Metaverse, like launching new products, for example, Samsung launched their new foldable device this year in our platform, and some big companies in Korea are using our platform for their internal business meetings. And speaking about numbers, I can say some numbers which are not secret. Only in Korea we have more than 9 million downloads of our application. That's an astonishing number, and monthly active user number is about 2 million. So that's increasingly popular in Korea, and we are taking it abroad. We are taking it global from next month.
You've clearly got a very interesting and comprehensive view of the metaverse investment space. So maybe just starting with kind of quite a general question. For most people, metaverse is still a very nascent area, but it's won increasing amounts of attention from investors, from builders, and from customers alike. So maybe could we start with, what's your perspective of the current state of the investment landscape in the metaverse? Where have the greatest amount of funds and development gone into, and what does that landscape look like today?
Yeah, Katinka, I think this question is extremely sharp and important. But before getting to that, I want to ask you, for example, what you think is Metaverse itself. Because Metaverse doesn't refer to any particular technology. We know internet, we know other technologies which we can sort of relate to particular technology, for example, of transferring data packages from peer to peer, from address to address. But in case of Metaverse, and you can easily check that, but go in on the field and asking different people what they mean by saying Metaverse, you will get absolutely different answers. And if you get different answers, the answer on how big is the space, how big is the investment sizes, how big are the deals, is all different. Because some people include conventional gaming into Metaverse. Some people say that's not exactly that. Some people say crypto is totally about Metaverse. And some people say, no, crypto is payment, is fintech, is something different. And this can make the sizes of the industry so different that if you go to research papers of some very knowledgeable firms like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group, they post absolutely different numbers. And that's, yeah. And I mean, getting to the question I asked you, what do you think is Metaverse?
And then I'm going to ask you the same thing, because I guess, it's critical.
Yeah, I have my own answer, but I want to ask.
Yeah. For me, I think the metaverse is fundamentally about, today, most of us increasingly live our lives digitally, right? A lot of the most meaningful interactions that we have take place virtually and not in person. And I think the metaverse, to me, represents a kind of shift in our perceptions of like what that means and kind of what the next generation of our online interactions actually look like. So it's recognizing that we increasingly live online, but the ways in which we have to interact, whether that's professionally or with brands, I think are often still quite sort of lacking in soul and lacking in immersion. And I think to me, metaverse technologies represent an opportunity to change that. So it's not the sexiest example, but I often work in these fully distributed teams. And things like Zoom and Notion just don't cut it when it comes to building relationships with people. And I think the metaverse space is recognizing that and trying to create these alternative virtual worlds that allow us to interact virtually, but in ways that still feel really rich and really, really human. So for me, that is the metaverse, basically.
Yeah. It's a very good definition, and I agree with you on most of the points. For me, metaverse is interchangeable with such words as cyberspace or virtual space. And I think for people who have difficulties with defining metaverse, using words of cyberspace and virtual space is much better option. In that sense, such fields like gaming is absolutely a part of metaverse, because gaming is, I think, is an integral. It's a foundation of metaverse in the end, and crypto as well, because crypto supports and empowers transactions and economics of metaverse, because metaverse is supposed to be absolutely fundamental space there everything is possible. However, I won't divide this real and unreal, because if we divide these two worlds and put boundaries in between, then we would have difficulties defining our time spent on mobile phones as metaverse or not metaverse, right? Because then people say, oh, I don't like metaverse, I don't like being in this virtual world. I always ask these people, how many hours do you spend on your phone a day? And they say like 5-6 hours after checking their settings. And I asked, so you think if you spend the time on your phone, it's not metaverse, it's you're spending it in real life? And then these people start to think, oh, maybe I'm already in metaverse. So it's not all sudden. We went a long way. We came a long way to this state of the world, and we are speaking about metaverse as an integral part of our life. Yeah, but just summarizing on what I said, we just want to find some definitions that are interchangeable with metaverse. And for me, that's cyberspace, virtual space, and if you just go digital, you go to metaverse, in my opinion.
Amazing. Can I ask you one question off that, and then we can get to the investment landscape? So if we take this expansive definition that, for example, includes gaming, and I kind of agree with you. Actually, in gaming specifically, I play a lot of video games, and many of the games.
What game are you playing these days?
So I actually don't do multiplayer, so that's probably one of like the kind of difficult things for me in the metaverse. But I am currently replaying The Witcher 3, which I think is the greatest game.
Witcher 3, okay. Very nice.
But
you're not wasting your time.
Not. Quite a few of the gamers that I have interacted with feel skeptical of Web3 and the sort of metaverse space. So I'm sort of wondering, maybe we could touch on, A, what you think is driving that dynamics when it feels like it should be a sector that is so integral to the metaverse. And then, should there be something in common about the way that a project is building for us to sort of meaningfully count it towards people that are consciously building like in a metaverse or Web3 type of way in space?
And my personal philosophy about Web3 and what drives it is, if that's what you're asking me, is that gaming is absolutely driving all Web3 and Metaverse, because all our life is about gaming, and we started playing games since on the very first steps of evolution. Everything in life is competition, and game is a ruled competition. So game is just a competition that have boundaries that you call rules. And Olympic Games, just playing this little stuff with your friends, then you drink, and just like getting dressed well, competing for a better boyfriend or girlfriend. It's all gaming as well. And then you play this computer or console games, just another evolutionary type of gaming, which we play in our like real lives. Because in computer or console gaming, you have some. I mean, you can live lives of other people, and it just opens another boundaries of what you can do. Because obviously you cannot do everything in real life. And Metaverse is just another evolution for me of gaming as well. Because in the conventional gaming, you start the game, you do it, then you finish it, and it's done. But Metaverse, it's a game that never ends. So if you start the game and you play it, and then you leave the game is not finished, because other people are there and they're building. And what you built during your existence in the game is staying there as well. So your presence in the game is still existing even without you, because what you built is there. And then you keep building it, and it's all existing, and other people build on that. So it's living itself. It's existing itself without even being inhabited all the time. In that sense, I think gaming is absolutely the main driver of Metaverse.
So it's kind of that collaborative and persistent nature of gaming in the Metaverse that sets it apart from previous generations of what gaming could have meant to people.
Yeah. And then after, because it's now a whole fundamental world, and you need some economics and other drivers like architecture and I know, fashion stuff, brands onboarding. All these things are just getting into it on top of the main part, which is gaming. That's how I see it.
Thank you. And so now, if I'm quite new to this space, how should I understand the Metaverse landscape? Who are the main players that I need to be aware of, and what are the market dynamics that I need to be aware of as I'm dipping my toes?
Oh, that's a question that not many people can answer, I think. The landscape is so broad, so big that it's even naming big players would take some time. But definitely some names which everything who is in the space should know are Sandbox, which are powered by Animoca Brands. Animoca Brands is a investment firm based in Hong Kong, which is heavily invests in blockchain, in Metaverse, and gaming projects. They have, I think, more than 50 or 60 investments around the world, and their CEO is very visionary, and they're shaping Metaverse. And Sandbox is a Metaverse that is built on three engines, which they build themselves. And these three engines, they make it a whole, like a full ecosystem, which you need to build like the complete world. And these three engines are VoxEdit. VoxEdit is a engine to build architecture on Metaverse. So in Sandbox you can buy land. And if you have land, you can build something on it. And in VoxEdit, you can create objects to put on the land. And then there is Marketplace. This is the second engine, And in marketplace, you can sell the assets, the objects which you build in Box Edit, or you can buy it from other people. So even without building something yourself, you can still buy objects from other people and like put it on your land or sell it. It's a big revenue for designers, or architects who actually can build objects in these 3D modeling engines. And the third engine is called Game Maker. And Game Maker is an engine that's used to shape your land into some sort of game or some sort of experience, like NFT gallery, to sell NFTs, or a game, and you can draw entrance fees from players to get into your lands to play some mini games which you created. So Sandbox is a very vast and interesting metaverse to explore. Another metaverse is Decentraland. It's similar to Sandbox in many senses. It also has like the sort of land token which you can buy, so you can have your own land and build experiences on this land. Another one from Asia is called Zepeto. Zepeto is owned by a Korean company called Naver. Naver is another Korean conglomerate. Zepeto is very popular in Asia. It's available around the world with more than 300 million users at the moment. They onboarded many famous fashion brands like Gucci, Ralph Lauren. So they have a lot of partnerships, and this drives a lot of creators into Metaverse. They design some clothes for avatars and then sell it inside Metaverse for the users. So they get some revenue share from the Metaverse, and it means like some people that are not related to the company itself, they also can earn money from it. And yeah, our Metaverse ETHland, which is going global, I think you should follow it because I'm sure it's gonna be big very soon in other countries.
Actually, just picking up off that, so taking ETHland and Zepeto, and then previous examples that you mentioned, I'm curious. You concentrate mostly on Korean markets. Is there anything that sets the investment landscape for the metaverse within Korea and potentially Asia more broadly, apart from investment trends that you are seeing in, say, Europe and North America?
Korea is not a big country. There are only 50 million people living in Korea, and the geography of the country is, the country itself is very small. But considering the small size and relatively small population, the number of investment deals in Korea is large. Only last year, I think I have some numbers here. There were more than 10 deals only in this in metaverse space, which you can define as a like metaverse platform space. And then there are many more deals which include crypto and gaming. Korea is a home country for three main mobile game producers in Asia, which are Nexon, NCSoft, and Netmarble. These are three companies which produce the best mobile games in Asia. Plus, there is Krafton. Krafton is a game company which is behind Battlegrounds, and I'm sure you know Battlegrounds, and that it's from Korea, so it's made by Krafton. And there are also P2E gaming companies in Korea. VMate's Mir 4 game is very popular in Southeast Asia. There are millions of people playing it. There is also Come To Us, company which produces P2E games as well. So in that sense, Korea is leveraging its gaming advantages, mobile gaming, like brain capital to power this metaverse space it created. And if we name the companies that are most active on the Metaverse platform space, these are SK Telecom for sure, and Neighbor, which is an owner of Zepeto, which I mentioned before. And so, for example, in our case, we just invested $90 million in a game company called Hagin 2 months ago. In the end of last year, we acquired 35% of crypto exchange Corebit for $87 million. And Neighbor, they're doing similar activities. They raise money for their platform, Zepeto. They raised more than $200 million from Hype and SoftBank in the last quarter of last year, just to grow their Zepeto Metaverse platform. And yeah, in that sense, Korea is only for Metaverse is a very fastly growing market.
So actually, as you mentioned, Korea, in terms of population and geography, it's like a relatively small country, but it's got an outsized impact on the Metaverse market. So I'm just curious to double down on this thought. You previously mentioned something to me around how, because in Korea, many of the major metaverses were built by well-capitalized companies, they had the ability to focus on customer experience before they focused on monetization. And I think you've also just mentioned a really important piece of the puzzle, which is advantages that Korea and potentially the sort of wider Asia-Pacific area has in terms of a really strong understanding of mobile and mobile gaming. So would you say that those are the ingredients that are combining to make this such a dynamic market for the metaverse, or is there something else as well?
I think I will very briefly say about why Korea is picking up metaverse very fast.
So in general, we're talking about, I think we mentioned a couple of deals here, but no numbers necessary, but sort of where do you see most of the investment actually going in what types of companies, basically?
I mentioned that Korea is, in international standards, not the biggest country in terms of size and population, but Korean population is extremely educated. Everybody goes to university in Korea, and everybody is very tech savvy. So people are changing their mobile phones every year. If you go to a store, you cannot find anything except for the latest models of Samsung and Apple phone. So it's very hard to find anybody who has other phone than Samsung and Apple, and it's impossible to find people who use models of 5-6 years ago. And you know that in Europe and other countries, it's many people can use their phones for 7 and 8 years, and they're not using the unlimited data plans. And this limits people to use all these platforms and services because they all require fast internet connection, and they consume a lot of data. In that sense, Koreans are very suitable for that, because many of them have unlimited data plans, and their internet speed is fastest in the world. And SK Telecom, again, here is pioneering the field. We were the first company in the world that launched commercial use of 5G in 2019 in April. I was in the ceremony. There were dozens of correspondents from all over the world showing how Koreans are again number one in telecommunication and 5G. So yeah, in that sense, even though Koreans, their number is just 50 million, they can produce quite a market for Metaverse. And I mentioned about our EFLAND figures. It's 9 million downloads only in Korea. You can imagine 50 million people are is the population and 9 million downloads. That's absolutely astonishing numbers that are unimaginable in any other market. Yeah, now speaking about a market in general, as you probably know, gaming market now surpassed movie or any other entertainment market. So the biggest entertainment in the world is gaming, and Metaverse includes gaming. So it's already Metaverse market. No, let me say it like that. It means that not gaming market is the biggest market in the world for entertainment. It means that the Metaverse market is the biggest entertainment market in the world. And only gaming market last year, the value was, if I remember correctly, $178 billion. Among it, Korean gaming market, and I remember this figure correctly, was $17 billion. So again, here South Korean's gaming market is, I think, number 4 and number 5 in the world. Koreans are playing a lot of games and they're spending a lot of money on it, especially for mobile games. And that's why it drives so much investment deals, and VCs and strategic investors are interested a lot in private gaming companies in Korea. And blockchain NFTs are also a big topic now here. In fact, just yesterday I was on Korea Blockchain Week. There were hundreds of companies around the world that joined the event, and everybody said that Korea feels like Korea is second or third capital of crypto in the world now. And for gaming, it's the same. So, yeah, I mean, the market for investment will only be growing in the future, and Korean market will probably grow even faster than the market in general. I think we need to go to a little bit particular questions, so I can maybe talk about some interesting deals. Is there a
particular one? Because next I was going to ask you about your personal investment focus. But is there a particular question that you wanted to jump to?
Oh, I don't know if the audience is interested in all these names and all these numbers and all these IPOs. I mean, this year, as you know, this Activision acquired by Microsoft, Sony acquired Bungie, like all this. Roblox went New York Stock Exchange IPO last year. I mean, I can talk about these deals because I know all of them in detail. I'm just not sure.
Maybe I can ask you something a little bit more general, and then I do want to ask you about what you look for when you are working with startups and investing. So I think that would be interesting to wrap on. If we take this growing investment landscape, we've seen big players increasingly rebranding themselves as metaverse companies and making quite aggressive and large investments in the metaverse space. So from your perspective, what do these kind of acquisitions and moves from big players like Meta mean for the metaverse industry and investment landscape overall? Are they going to end up dominating?
I think all these powerhouses like Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Sony, they will be growing on the metaverse topic for sure. And the fact that they are reinventing themselves as pure metaverse companies only supports this statement. In case of Meta, they have probably started this metaverse business before other players. For sure, we have Microsoft that has Xbox, and they grew it for dozens of years. But if we go out of this gaming and talk about this pure AR VR technology, then Zuckerberg was probably one of the pioneers, and he grew that Oculus business in recent years, and the recent devices that Meta produced, Oculus Go, Oculus Quest 2, recent device, are extremely good. And I'm personally using Quest 2 device, and I really love it. And so the Oculus Store, which is the ecosystem of the device, is vast. It's a lot of games, a lot of applications you can find there. But what I think was a little mistake here is that Zuckerberg thought that all this metaverse, all this virtual world will only evolve around VR and AR devices. So he thought that metaverse is probably something that you will need to go through the VR device, or maybe some like clothing that you saw in Ready Player One movie, there they had to dress to like feel the vibes of touches of metaverse. So I think that Zuckerberg thought that this is the mean of communication with metaverse. However, life showed us that mobile phone is probably the most common and most accessible device to enter metaverse now, and probably will continue to be. And in that, and because mobile phone is a very accessible device for a large number of people in every country, then a lot of other companies started to develop their own metaverse products, and now we see that not only Microsoft, Nvidia, or Facebook are on the edge of technology here, but the ones that I mentioned before, Sandbox and Decentraland, they are just startups, very small companies with limited number of developers. But if you see the product now, it feels much closer to what is metaverse for many people, and it feels much more usable for many people than Horizons of Meta, the metaverse, or Omnia. What's the name of that metaverse? Nvidia has their own metaverse, called Omnia's World, I think. Sorry if I'm mistaken, but startups made metaverses now are more popular than the ones of these big giants, these powerhouses.
So as
maybe it will
and
change.
as a startup, we shouldn't be scared of Meta and Microsoft, because they're not going to dominate and they don't get the market right always, right?
No, you should be scared. You should be scared because in the end, I mean, Instagram was acquired by Facebook at the end, right? And Activision Blizzard is acquired by Microsoft. Bungie is acquired by Sony. So, and now there are talks that Tencent will acquire Ubisoft. And we see a lot of this consolidation in the gaming industry, and one of the reasons is metaverse. I think they want to after all these consolidations, many of these companies will concentrate their efforts on building some metaverses inside their games, or maybe connect their existing games to some metaverse platforms. But in the end, we should be scared because technological development, research resources are all concentrated in these campuses of giants, and startups sometimes cannot compete on that side.
Okay, it's interesting. So if we step away from the consolidation and the investment from giants, what I'd love to end on is actually your perspective as someone who comes across a lot of startups building in the metaverse and advises them. So First, a question around right now, what are the spaces that startups are building in that excite you the most? And then if we have time, I'd love to squeeze in something about what you look for when you evaluate a startup team for anybody here that's listening that, might be in the early stages of building their own thing and looking for partners and investors. But first, what are the investment spaces right now with startups that you're really excited about?
First, I would probably say the thing that that usually scares me when I see many startups that come to my desk these recent weeks. I started to see a lot of startups which only have started to develop a product. So they have a product in development without even beta testing it. But they already launched a coin. So they're asking for investment or for coin investment without having any utility. So the utility is only promised in their roadmap for next 5-6 years. And in that sense, I feel like many companies are now concentrating on raising very fast with this crypto part, with this coin part. You can do ICO now, initial coin offering, and you can raise money for that. But the product, they forget about the product. And if you want to make a parallel between something else, it's like you're coming to a dealership and they want you to buy a car which doesn't exist even in prototype. Nobody gonna buy that car, right? But here it somehow works for some startups. I'm trying to get out of these deals, and especially in games, because game is all about the story. If you say how if a startup tries to sell the idea that they made this coin and they will have this game as a utility, and you ask them, but the game should be great for people to play it and make it a utility, but they are not putting that much efforts to make this a great game. So it doesn't work in a way that you launch a game and that's all. It should be a great game for people to play. So I want startups to be more focused on their real product, on the utility side. Your question was about what are the qualities that make a good startup, right, in that metaverse.
Yeah, so when a startup comes across your desk, I think we've just learned one lesson, which is have a product and focus on your product before you focus on raising money through an ICO, especially if you are selling an experience. Then, what are the positive qualities that you see in teams where you go, this is a team I want to back?
It depends on the stage, but on the early stages, that's how it works in investment. You put a lot of attention on who is in the team, what is the team's previous experience, what's their background. So background of founding members is important.
What types of outreach would you be interested in? And then how can people contact you? What are the social channels that they should use?
Social channels. Well, they probably shouldn't knock my door, but but I would love to connect with people on LinkedIn, maybe because I post a lot of my own findings about investment and about Metaverse marketing career. So if somebody is interested in that, please feel free to connect. Yeah, and it has my email and some other details. So if there is some business opportunity, we can always discuss.
Thank you so much. So I can definitely vouch for the fact that following Genya on LinkedIn is super, super interesting. And I know that he also gives a mean presentation at conferences about the Metaverse investment landscape. So if you have a chance to listen to him anywhere, please do. So thank you very much for your time today, Genya. I'll close the interview here, and thank you everybody for listening.